Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Matt, alongside with my other host, Lance. We always like to conpie our episodes with an adult beverage of choice. And today I am drinking some E.H. Taylor because it's so good, and it's been way too long since I've really enjoyed this. And of course, can't have an episode without a spotted cow, so that's what I've got as well. What about you, Lance?
Today I will be drinking some of your personal batch of Journeyman's Distillery, some Featherbone whiskey, delicious as always, and I too will be drinking some spotted cow.
Awesome. Yeah, can't get enough of it. And now we're getting in that time where it's a little bit, would say spotted cow isn't like a super light beer. So now that we're getting where it's a little bit colder, it's really going down smooth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a creamy, it's heavy enough.
Yep.
And yeah, it always tastes great. And when it gets cold out, you want some of that heaviness.
Yeah, it tastes even better when it's a little bit chilly.
Mm-hmm.
Lance, you want to explain the title of our episode?
Yeah, so today we are going to be covering Dragon Ball Super Broly. And this follows the typical series of what you knew in the past of Broly, but being updated in today's Super version. And with the history of Planet Vegeta being destroyed by Frieza and Broly being some super strong baby that they had to ship out of nowhere, and we got a nice little pre-story of how Goku got shot out into the distance, and we got a nice story for all that stuff. But it all comes together when all the Saiyans come back together, and this is all because of Frieza and his hatred for the Saiyan monkey race. And speaking of monkeys, today's Lance's lesson is going to be the Japanese word for monkey, and that is Saru. Saru is spelled S-A-R-U, and Saru is obviously very relevant to today's episode because, like I said, Frieza likes to refer to the Saiyan race as a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah, he says it in the most racist sounding way you could possibly think of.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, he would be that person who says all the derogatory words if he was a human. So,
oh yeah, just funny, and nobody quite questions it, but it's acceptable because it's not of Earth stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. What did you think of it, Lance?
It started out a little slow because we needed a lot of buildup of backstory stuff. I did appreciate a bunch of backstory stuff about like pre-Vegeta, Planet Vegeta being blown up and stuff like that. So that was cool to get that kind of information. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But ultimately, we're all here for the action. And when it came down to the action, they did a fantastic job with slowly bringing this fight from like ground zero with Vegeta fighting Broly, yep, testing his limits and stuff like that, slowly getting stronger and stronger. And then really made us understand that like we can go from base level Saiyan and slowly work our way into God and then Blue. I felt that transition was great. And the whole entire time, I didn't feel like I was cheated or bored with this kind of fight scene to begin with at all. Like everything was so fantastic.
Yep.
Also, again, we're really focusing on the battle scene aside from all the other extra information that I threw in here just because. But yeah, I love this movie. It was so much fun to watch. Always makes me want to play the video games. But what did you think about this?
I will say this was probably the best Dragon Ball movie. So that includes Super, that includes Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. I think this was the best movie.
Yeah. And with you saying this, we got all of the Z movies.
Yep.
And we also have the couple Super movies that started out the Super series.
Yep, so Resurrection F and Battle of the Gods.
Mm-hmm. And then we are doing something a little bit weird going back in time because we did a review on the latest movie, Heroes.
Yep.
And now we're going, back a couple extra years and finally covering Broly. And that's mainly because now this is a Hulu special. So it's, if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch it. So yep, we have access to this, and that's why we're covering this now.
That, and we saw Heroes in theaters, so that's a little bit of why we covered that one first.
Right.
I will say, as far as the animation is concerned, this was my favorite one. I have a couple issues with some of the timeline stuff that they did, which we'll get into. But as a whole, I thought this was probably the best movie. I legitimately just stopped everything I was doing during some of the fights. Like some parts of the fights I could not pull myself away from.
Oh, definitely.
And I can't say I've done that on any of the movies.
Right.
Where I'm just 100% hooked in.
Right. As much as I appreciate the old school animation of like the 1990s.
Yep.
Like there's something very special about how OG Dragon Ball Z was.
Mm-hmm.
But this quality of animation, especially compared to Heroes,
yep,
I really did like this style of today's version of animation.
Yeah, Heroes had a little bit too much of, it felt CGI and game-like.
Mm-hmm.
Where this definitely had a couple of those moments, but for the most part, it almost felt like a high-quality fanfic or fan-made animation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one felt more natural as far as animation goes.
Yeah, and it was so good. Like you were saying, the build-up and all the fights was really good. Brawly being himself, like it made a lot more sense how everything progressed in this one versus like the DBZ Brawly movies that were like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and
those are short movies.
Yeah, they were very short. Like the fight between Vegeta Brawly, Goku Brawly, Gogeta Brawly were longer than 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So just having the ability to truly progress in a realistic in the manner of the show, it made a lot more sense.
100%.
Now, some of my issues were the fact that essentially base Goku is as strong as Super Saiyan God Vegeta made no sense.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because Vegeta gave up at God, and then Goku just jumped in as himself.
Yep. And so Brawly was at the same power level as he was fighting Vegeta at God, but struggled against Goku. Not long, but he still struggled against Goku for a minute. So I was like, really? Like, you couldn't have made him like, all right, yep, nope, I'm really struggling against him at base. Let me at least go Super Saiyan, and then kind of
start out with Super Saiyan.
Yeah. So that was one issue I had as far as that was basically the only issue I had with the fight, with the whole fight. It was so good. I think that's in part because of how much I like Vegeta, and I was really happy that they kind of gave him a little bit of the spotlight in the beginning of the fight, and then it was like, but Super Saiyan God Vegeta is as strong as base Goku, and I'm like, that's not supposed to happen.
Right. If it would have made a little bit more sense if there was a little bit of volleying going on.
Yeah.
Like if Brawly was jumping between the two Saiyans and they were both like Broly and Vegeta were going at it. Vegeta was going Super Saiyan. He gets knocked out like really far away. And then Goku was like, oh, I need Vegeta to take this moment to recover. So I'm going to jump in. And then he goes Super Saiyan immediately. And then like maybe that might be too obvious. So maybe that's why they didn't do it. But I can see where it would be a step-by-step process on why Broly learns this fighting pattern and then just progressively gets stronger each and every battle, each and every transformation. But yeah, that would only work to make sense of what you're bringing out.
Yep. That's my issue as far as the fight is concerned.
Right. It's a little nitpicky because in the moment you're like, you're awesome. Like, this is all awesome. But at the same time, you're like, you might have like a little like, but he should have came off a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
But it's still okay.
Yeah, as you were saying, this is nitpicking. And this is only nitpicking because I like Vegeta. If Goku is your favorite character, you couldn't give two fucks about what he started out as compared to what Vegeta had just ended on.
Right.
And let's be honest, the main majority of people, I can't say that, a high percentage of individuals like Goku better than Vegeta, so it makes sense to just do it that way.
Are you a little surprised that Goku never went Super Saiyan 3?
Yeah, because why not? I guess I kind of understand why he skipped it, because the power jump between God and Super, because he...
Oh, yeah, good point. Because we already saw Vegeta and God, so...
Yeah.
Like, we saw Goku, like we just said. He went into Super Saiyan 1 just because, and then he jumped into God himself.
Yep. And then
if we were to go from, like, Vegeta God to Goku 3, the power difference is a step backwards. So it wouldn't make absolute sense for that to actually happen.
Yeah, it's just.
But again, if we were doing the volleying deal, we could have saw a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it could have gone 1, 2, 3. God Blue, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
So, and I thought for sure that they were trying to make Blue into like Ultra Instinct.
Oh yeah, that's another big question. Was this all obviously takes place after the Tournament of Power?
Yep.
And we saw Goku Ultra Instinct, but also at the same time we saw that he doesn't know how to control that state, and he doesn't even know how to get into it. I might be getting a little ahead of myself with the manga, but there was a moment where he says specifically that like he doesn't know how to get into it on his own.
Yep.
So I wasn't truly surprised that Goku never went Ultra Instinct, but this came out afterwards, so I was kind of expecting him to do so.
That is kind of what it looked like they were going to have him do, and then he turned blue, so I was like, okay, yep. Sure.
Right, but it makes sense that he would go blue because that's the next step up. But
and that's what he can really control.
Right, and he never went Ultra, which is fine.
Yep, absolutely. I think I would have had an issue if he went Ultra.
Yeah, it's too much of a cheat code.
Yep.
And what we learn a little bit through the manga or whatever is this is going to be very special. So actually, while we're here at this moment...
Yeah, speaking of manga... NANI?
I have been reading the Super manga, and yes, everybody, Super Broly is considered canon because he is part of the manga.
Yes.
However, he plays a very, 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 very short role in the manga. And if you will allow me to...
Audio, visual you, because you can't actually see what he's looking at.
Right. Dragon Ball Super Chapter 52 is all of Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. And it's like 10 frames long. And sit back, everybody, because I'm going to read it to you. So it starts off in space, Galactic Patrol, HQ, Goku summarized recent events on Earth for Maris. Here's Goku talking. He says, and then another Saiyan showed up all the way. By the way, this is completely a little bit random. They literally just threw this into the manga so that it quote unquote was canon. But okay, so Goku is here out of nowhere saying, and then another Saiyan showed up, but get this, he was way stronger than us. And then a Galactic Patrol guy says, oh, I can hardly imagine. And then Goku says, yeah, his name is Broly. Frieza came to Earth looking for the Dragon Balls, and he brought Broly with him. And then the next frame, he kept getting stronger and stronger as we fought until he finally turned into a Super Saiyan. And then they show Goku, Vegeta, and Broly in one snapshot, all in Super Saiyan form, fighting. And then it says, once he transformed, we couldn't even beat him in our Super Saiyan blue forms. So me and Vegeta had to perform fusion. And then it shows them practicing fusion. And then the next frame, it says, somehow we won. And then the next frame says, and then another Galactic Guardian says, well, wait, where's he now? What if he decides to come back for more? Goku says, I don't think he was actually a bad guy. Anyway, he went back home. And then Vegeta says, to a planet called Vampa. And then the other Galactic Guardian says, Vampa, this fellow lives in such a hostile environment. How did he end up there? Goku says, don't know. Do you remember Vegeta? Do you remember Vegeta? And then Vegeta says, I forget. Which remind you, in the anime, Goku teleported to this planet, but whatever. And then the final frame says, these two couldn't have known about the grand tale weaved by their parents' generation. Maybe he just likes living in such a nasty place. What a weirdo. No. And then Vegeta says, no, I feel as though this must be my father's fault somehow. Even though in the movie he obviously we know that this is all his father's fault. But anyway, literally that's the entire portion that's in Dragon Ball Super. It was those couple scenes, Chapter 52, right in the middle of the Moro story. The Moro is the next big baddie that's going to be in Super, the Planet Eater.
For anybody that's living under a rock that likes Dragon Ball Super.
Right. So, yeah, just a couple frames, literally just to like, hey, by the way, this is canon. And I'm not going to tell you any more than, somehow we won.
Broly exists.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? Well, I don't know, but we won. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Broly exists. That's really all that matters, I guess.
Right. So seeing that we've covered the Broly Triple Threat movies in the past,
yep.
Do you have a preference on which Broly version you like the most? Z versus Super?
I think the first Brawly movie, Brawly, is really cool. And personally, I like him better. I accept the Super because Dragon Ball Super is just a different art style that version would not work in Super.
Makes sense.
What about you?
Yeah, kind of. Now that you say it that way, yeah, the very first Broly, the way he was introduced, just so out of the blue and how awestruck everybody in the community was about him.
Yep. Was
simply amazing.
Yep.
But retrospectively, does not make too much sense.
Absolutely not.
And movies 2 and 3 sucked.
That's
so they kind of and that kind of degraded Brawly.
Yep.
But seeing how nitpicky the anime community is now, I can totally accept today's Brawly. Totally happy with him. He slowly grew. You know, he's the legendary Super Saiyan. We saw the legendary Super Saiyan on the other, I don't even remember what universe Khalifa and all them were from. At the moment, it's been freaking 6 years or so at this point.
Is that 9?
Might be. But anyway, like we got to see their version of the legendary Super Saiyan, and now we have our version of the legendary Super Saiyan.
I do like that Paragus explains it too, instead of just being like, "Oh, yeah, he's just this way," and you're like, "But why?" At least Paragus was like, "Well, he is able to manifest the great ape while still being a person." I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. That right. At least makes sense.
Yeah, and at that rate, that also kind of makes me think of like GT at this point, because that's how Super Saiyan 4 was even created. It was dominating and
but they had that they grew back their tail.
Right. They had to grow back their tail in order to get into the great ape form. But then controlling the great ape form allowed them to turn into Super Saiyan 4.
Yep. Versus Brawly, where he doesn't have to transform, he can just manifest the power.
Ooh. Now I'm curious on what great ape Brawly would be like.
Because we never actually see him, because when Paragus gets to the desolate planet, basically everything's already fucked up, and Brawly has retransformed. Yeah,
because didn't he make a mention that Brawly transformed? Yeah, he 100% did make that mention that Brawly transformed on this desolate planet, Vargas or whatever.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they landed, Paragus was like, how did these giant monsters get defeated? And then he found Brawly in broken uniform because he had clearly ripped it apart from transforming. So, yes, at one point, he did turn into ape.
But that's the only time.
Yeah.
Well, that and they make mention, Paragus says to, I think it's Frieza, that he cut off his tail because he he didn't want him to transform.
Right. So, yeah, good point. Now, we obviously, because of the tail missing, we can't see Brawly in ape form, but I mean, we can always see different variations. Like, what's Heroes? Heroes has the like basically the what ifs version of Dragon Ball. So, or even a video. I would like to see whatever Heroes video game, make Broly ape form a final boss of some sort, and just have him just be this.
Could you imagine him being like green?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because OG Broly
was green.
He wasn't yellow; he was green.
Yeah. Well, he was like a yellowish green, but yes.
Right. Yeah, it was like a mucus yellow, but like, yeah, like he had a different tint of yellow, and that's what made him stand out. It was super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be very interesting for a what if. I agree. Hero, not Hero. Yeah,
I think the anime series and the video game series were called Heroes.
Yes. But I guess since we're kind of off on a tangent, I want to talk about some issues I had as far as timelines of the movie that just didn't really make sense. One thing, Goku was way too old when he got sent to planet Earth. Like, they made him way too big when he's in the pod.
Really pick up on that.
Like, he had zero recollection of his parents, and when he's leaving, he's like reacting to them.
Ooh.
And he looked like he was like 3 or 4 in the pod, when we know he was like 9 months old.
Yeah, like he just got popped out and he didn't last long on planet Vegeta anyway.
Yeah, he was like 6 months he seemed basically less than a year, because he was a baby crawling around, but that was it.
Good point. Yeah, if you didn't say this, I would have never even considered that maybe the age thing might be into question.
But again, that's nitpicking stuff. Like that part, it makes more sense in the context of the movie to have Goku be slightly older because, oh, well, we're just trying to grow because maybe he's a late bloomer and I want to get my son out of here to protect him because in Z, he just got sent to Earth that's what they did with low level Saiyans is they would just plop you off on some weak planet. And then when you get older or old enough, you would just turn into an ape and destroy the planet. And then the Saiyans would come in and take said planet, which that makes sense instead of where you have his father Bardock trying to save him. Doesn't really make any sense that way. This is all timeline stuff. This is coming from somebody who's watched Dragon Ball Z a lot of times, and I can nitpick on these things. It does not pull away from the movie. I thought the movie was very good, but as a major fan of the series, I'm going to nitpick some stuff because I have the ability to nitpick some stuff.
Right. And that's all fair.
Yeah. I didn't really care for the Bardock, like, at the end, where because essentially in Z, he is causing a rebellion and they're all in space, but in the movie, they're all like, he just happens to be in space right when the Frieza blast thing is coming down. Like it's a little, it's not the same. Like it's not the same context in which he's there.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of forgetting OG storyline about Bardock.
Yeah, because you're a major fan, but you just didn't watch you've only seen the series, once?
Yeah. For anybody that's been following us since kind of the beginning or anything, I went through the Dragon Ball Z start to finish, the original source, not the Kai version. Kind of wish I did Kai, but I wanted to make sure I saw everything.
Yep.
And that was great and all, but I never did see original Dragon Ball. So
you didn't see that in original Dragon Ball. That was in Dragon Ball Z.
Right. Bardock was a Z character.
Yeah.
Where we started getting origins of Goku.
Yep.
Right.
But you'd only seen it once. You've seen bits and pieces a bunch of times because of the video games. But
yeah, for anybody that needs any kind of reminder, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan because the video games brought me in. As a younger child, I saw Dragon Ball on TV, and I thought this was the most ridiculous show in the world, and I never got into it.
You watched Dragon Ball on TV?
Yeah, it was on Cartoon Network. Way back then.
Yeah. I remember. Yep, I remember seeing some episodes of Dragon Ball on.
At least, in America, like they showed Dragon Ball, and obviously Dragon Ball Z was at that point because this is the '90s.
Yep.
But I saw a couple episodes, and I saw kids on the playground kamehamehaing each other. I'm like, you guys are dumb. And then it took until I met you in middle school, and you showed me Budokai 2. And
no, it would have been 1.
No. I played 1.
Okay. It was 2?
I played 1 after. Yeah, you had 2 because this is when being Super Saiyan was a lot more easier to handle because Budokai 1, that was the limit of Budokai 1. Anyway,
yeah, and they would drain your powers so fast, your ki so fast.
1 Kamehameha and you're basically back to base form.
Yep.
But yeah, it was because of, you know what? I take that back. It was Budokai 3 because that's when they introduced Super Saiyan 4 in that one.
Yeah, I think we played 3 a lot. I remember playing 2 a bunch. 1 not so much, but 2 and 3 were definitely the best ones.
Yeah, those were so much goddamn fun.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's what got me into Dragon Ball Z, which was the video games. Understandably, because that's where all the true action really comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Me personally, I was much better at them, so it was more of that than Tekken. But yeah.
Oh yeah. But back into the movie.
Yeah, so for me personally, I can nitpick some timeline stuff. Not really the biggest thing in the world. Also, Raditz being essentially friendly with Vegeta made no sense.
As a child?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very thrown off by that. I'm like, I guess they were friends as children, much like they were as adults when they first arrived on Earth.
But they were not friends. Like, Raditz and Vegeta were not friends in Dragon Ball Z either.
No, they just traveled together.
They didn't even travel together because Raditz came by himself, and then it was Nappa
first. You're right.
Yeah, Nappa and Vegeta were friendly-ish. But Vegeta had no friends. Let's be honest. He had 0 friendships.
Yeah, because now that I'm remembering it, very, very early in Dragon Ball Z, Raditz came crashing down to Earth.
Yep, that's the first arc.
Yep, very first arc. But it just showed that there's connections.
Yeah, that's all they were doing. Just, oh, okay, yeah, cool. That's interesting. A lot of people aren't going to nitpick it. Like, I am.
It's easy to nitpick this because it's been around so long and we know so much information.
Yeah, absolutely. I did also find it funny and unnecessary, the fan service that they had with Chili.
Chilai?
Chilai, yes.
Yeah, that's 100%. She was bending over, showing off her little butt at all times.
I was just like, okay, I guess. And then her pulling, like, the bra...
Battle armor
out. And I'm just like,
She stretched it out. I didn't expect that to stretch out at any point, but when she was showing Broly that, like, they're form-fitting and they move with your body, that was essentially fan service.
Yeah, she was, like, the fan service character of Dragon Ball Super, and I was not expecting it.
No, but it was okay.
Yep. But let's get into what everybody really cares about, and that's the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Which of the 3 segments was your favorite?
I kind of did like the original Broly versus Vegeta fight.
Okay.
It was how everything started. It was the slow build-up. It was Vegeta being, like, cocky, typical Vegeta.
Yep, absolutely.
And then him making the personal remarks, being like, he's learning as we fight.
Yep.
100% love that. I mean, that's Broly as we know it, and it just made sense. And then him slowly getting stronger and stronger. I loved just the animation of, like, Vegeta getting punched through glaciers and stuff like that. That happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Two for sure that I know of. One for Vegeta, one for Goku. But it was really fun just to see just the surroundings being put into play.
Yeah.
I can see that in video games as well. So just bringing all that. It's just fun to see that. But I just love seeing Vegeta. And Vegeta's my favorite character out of all of Dragon Ball. And I got to pull that from this. Loved it. So what about you?
I do agree. I will say my second favorite, honestly, all of it was super good, to be completely honest. It's really hard to pick just one. If I had to rank them, I would probably go Vegeta. Honestly, I'd probably go in the order. And the only reason why the Gogeta one isn't better is because it just wasn't as long.
Right.
It was very short, and it just proves how OP Gogeta / Vegito is.
Right.
When those two fuse, I don't think anybody's winning.
No. And I like the explanation that they put into it just to remind everybody. It's not just the combination of the powers. It's the combinations times like 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it's compounding.
It's compounded, exactly. And that the technique itself is just overpowering and amazing. And that's also why there needs to be like a time limit and stuff like that on that stuff.
Which they do say it's 30 minutes, which I'm perfectly fine with. I know in Z, I think when Gotenks is fused, it gets shrunk down because of the essentially turning Super Saiyan. So I'd be very curious how long it lasted with like Super Saiyan God.
Ooh, yeah. Because if anybody can remember, yes, there's a time limit in the base form, but powering up and getting stronger
basically
dramatically decreased that time frame. And
it's like going Super Saiyan in the games.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So when Gotenks was fused, went Super Saiyan 3, in the middle of the fight with Super Buu, and then suddenly popped into Goten and Trunks. They're like, what happened? The time was we had like 20 extra minutes. Yeah. It was because they extinguished so much power. I don't know. They exhausted themselves, essentially.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, if this was going to be Fusion plus God, is this 30 minutes shrunk down to like 5 minutes?
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. I did find it funny where essentially what they did to be able to lengthen the time for Brawly getting bored was Brawly beating up on Frieza for an hour.
For an hour. That's some anime logic there too. Because like I can understand Frieza jumping in for a little bit, but to entertain Brawly for an hour, it made sense because not fan service in the sense of like boobs and stuff, but fan service in the sense of like, yeah, we need let's have some fun with the failure of fusion.
Yeah, we get fat, we get old and skinny, and then it works.
So it made everybody happy in that kind of sense. Like let's see the failures just for the LOLs, but in the end, it works out. but still, an hour of fighting.
Not even fighting, getting beat up on.
Oh, yeah. Frieza Gold was getting his ass handed to him the entire time.
Yep. So that was just funny. And, just a couple clips back and forth going to Frieza getting destroyed by Brawly. I accepted it. It was just funny. That's all. It was just meant to be there. You weren't supposed to think about it.
Right. And to backtrack just a little bit, I really appreciated how Frieza got Broly to like truly activate by killing Paragus the same way that he, not the same way, but like in the same manner that he killed Krillin by just killing someone to like activate the emotions of the Saiyan.
He got hit by a stray blast. Oh no! Look, what are you gonna do? And I really liked the fact that he overacted. So the voice actor for Frieza overacted and made it very obvious to everybody else that he was doing it on purpose. Oh, exactly. And I really liked being able to see that. Yeah.
It was 100% how Frieza is and would be. It was so fitting, and it was a perfect moment for this entire fight.
Yep.
And this entire fight, we all know what Brawly is capable of. And he's been in base form for a very, very long time. And every time he's sitting there screaming, we're like, is this the moment he goes Super Saiyan? And we get failed. Is this the moment he gets Super Saiyan? And again, we failed. And then it took until he basically shot down Paragus and made it all happen.
Yep.
One of my favorite moments in the Brawly fight was relatable to the Avengers movies when Brawly took Goku and was just like throwing him around like Hulk was, like puny little god, and just like slamming him around.
Yep.
I thought that was... I know Dragon Ball takes kind of like moments of today's culture and brings that in, and I'm pretty convinced that the Avengers movie had an influence on that part.
Yeah, that was definitely a Hulk moment. And then the other Easter egg moment was Goku doing his jump warm-up thing.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a Bruce Lee call-out.
Makes sense.
So I really enjoyed that one. It was very well done because it really got you hyped for the start of that fight.
Mm-hmm. Another moment that caught me off guard was something that Dragon Ball usually does, is pull out some totally left field techniques, something never introduced before. And when Goku was in Super Saiyan God, and he made this like weird circle attack and like stunned Brawly in mid space, and then tried to convince him that this isn't a fight worth fighting. Yeah,
he like paralyzes him.
Yeah,
which is kind of a Frieza thing, but it makes no sense. Like, where did he learn this ability?
Right. Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Yep.
Why not give some special attack? I don't know. But it caught me off guard that we were just going to introduce new attacks or new techniques. And then, of course, Brawly just overpowers and carries on the fight.
Yeah, that'll be a one-off thing. I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
Yeah, I do not expect that one to come. I'm far enough in the manga that never happens, so I'm not surprised. I would be surprised if that were to ever show up again.
So let's just kind of talk about the other parts of the movie. I thought where Brawly landed makes a whole lot of sense. Be in a desolate land, having to essentially fight for his life every day. Everything kind of made sense. I didn't mind anything in the beginning. What about you?
No, his bring up made sense.
Yep.
I accepted it. However, being on a planet like that, and then Paragus somehow getting the technology to create a necklace of sorts that were to shock him.
Yeah, the shock necklace. Yeah, that made no sense.
You're not going to create that out of nothing, especially to the degree of controlling someone so overpowered. But
that, and he killed the engineer, so...
Yeah, he killed him right away.
Yeah. So I had already said this is probably the best movie in the series. What would you say?
I agree. The animation style, content for fighting.
Okay.
This brought everything together. Heroes was great, but this fight scene felt Dragon Ball.
Yes, absolutely. The Heroes just... It felt more like a video game spinoff than it did a movie.
Right. What this really comes down to is seeing Gogeta becoming canon also.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How awesome he was. They brought back his galaxy attack. The animation that went into the Gogeta fight was like,
It's
going
okay.
into like a weird spatial kind of thing where the background was no longer the Arctic, and that was. I know that's all for visual effects and to bring everything into a different dimension because Gogeta is just so goddamn strong and whatever, but it felt a little off. But
Shenron not giving 3 wishes made no sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess he did explain it that like you're not a regular, so you only get one.
What? That's
because he gave 1 wish to Chilai and the older guy.
yeah.
But I don't remember that ever being explained that.
Yeah, no, that should not be how that's not how that works.
Because when Shenron first got summoned, did he not give 3 wishes right off the bat to the Z fighters?
So original Shenron gave 1 wish.
Okay.
Dragon Ball up until Dende became the guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Dende was able to basically make Shenron into Peruga without being exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at that timeline is when Shenron was able to give 3 wishes. After the Namekian arc was when. So at this point, yes, he had 3 wishes all the time.
Right. So there's some anime logic there. Just
yeah.
like,
because I figured they would have been like...
Oh, wait. Maybe I'm thinking the 1 wish because of Dragon Ball Daima right now.
Yeah.
Because the Daima Lord, or the new Demon Lord, was only given 1 wish.
But that was because the wish was... basically, it was so much that he could only give 1 wish.
Okay.
Because it was used all of his power on the 1 wish. But, hey, can you transport this 1 individual person to another planet? That's not... I guess that, save him and send him back to his original planet. Technically, that's only 1 wish. Like, leaving Earth as is made no sense. Like, why couldn't you just been like, all right, the second wish is going to be for, I don't know, bringing Earth back to before Brawley showed up.
Right.
All right, now Earth is back to what it was. And then the 3rd wish can be Bulma being like, and I wish I was 2 years younger or 5 years younger, whatever she wanted to wish for.
Yeah, she wanted the 5-year younger look so it didn't look too obvious.
Yeah. So then just doing that, because, Vegeta looks like he is still in his 20s, so Bulma needs to make sure she looks like she's in her early 30s, I guess.
Sure. It was a little bit of a throwaway.
Yeah. That just made no sense. That's all in all, fantastic movie. Definitely recommend it for anybody who hasn't seen it. Get on Hulu, go check it out. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And again, this is considered canon.
Yep. Or at least Brawley's considered canon.
Yeah, more specifically. I'm not too sure, but I think I might have seen something online that Brawley makes a comeback somewhere late in the manga, but obviously I'm not that far, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna conclude today's conversation. Hope everybody enjoyed what we were talking about. Please make sure to give us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and follow the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. Stay up to date on everything anime related. And please give us an additional follow on YouTube, where Matt and I have our Anime Lounge Short Flight series, where we cover popular anime that's coming out every single week, and we have a fun time with that. And until next time, we'll see you.